Hey there, Andrea Seidel here. I am the founder of Live Life Happy Publishing, and I am so excited because they call me the book doula. And so that means that I help people painlessly give birth to books. But I swear this book was painless to give birth to because I was working with the world renowned Dr. Robert Radi. And I'm so excited because he is on the show today because he gave birth to his brand new remarkable book. It is called Inception Mindset. Now, Dr. Radi, you're going to love him. He is a wealth of knowledge. He is going to transform the way that you look at leadership and personal growth. He talks all about the permanently complex world. Now, say that fast 5 times. Dr. Radi has poured his heart, his soul, his expertise into every page, and he really does offer us this cognitive journey that balances curiosity, philosophy, skills, and action. And I'm so excited because you are going to just enjoy, love his book. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Robert. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so very much, Andrea. Thank you for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here with you today.
So today is the day your book is being launched. It is available wherever books are sold. But before we dive into your amazing book, can you tell us and the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So originally, was born and raised in Italy. Actually, we picked today as the release for the book because it marks 33 years in the United States since my arrival. Was born and raised in Italy. As I said, I came in my early 20s, initially to work in the space of consumer product design and development. Initially, I was working with an architectural firm. And then I moved on my own to bring into the space of consumer product strategy something that I saw that was probably missing, which was a perspective from a more international perspective was missing maybe at the time. And I thought that I could make a difference, make a contribution to the industry at large. That business that I started in my early 20s continued for about 19 years, serving global brands from in the local and global brands. And so I worked with an array of individuals in an array of industries that open up my eyes to what complexity is and how you operate in complexity. Further, later on, I decided that consumer product strategy was a young man game. And so I decided to exit my business, which we did successfully, and then dedicate myself to pursuing a Master in Business Administration for Pepperdine University. And later, after I finished that, I pursued my PhD at the Chicago School in order to enable me to do the type of work that I do today, to this very day, and it's leadership development and building strategic capacities in organizations and individuals as well.
Oh my gosh. See, I told you you're going to love this. You're going to love him. He has so much information and a wealth of knowledge and so much inspiration and just experience as well. So can you tell us a little bit about the concept of inception mindset without obviously your book, I say to a lot of people, is like a textbook. It literally is like, and I was saying as we were unfolding like the book and I was like looking at the book going, I literally need to read like one page and then set it down just to let my brain kind of wrap around the concepts because it's like a cognitive paradigm. Like it helps us understand and helps us dive into complexities in a whole different way. And I love one of my favorite parts about your book is the part where you delve into being about character strengths and nurturing strengths and creativity and a place of curiosity and just open-mindedness and resilience. And like, I really enjoy that element of your book, but let's back up. Let's talk about Inception Mindset, what it is and why you titled your book Inception Mindset.
Yes. So in the last year and a half, I was thinking about what is really leadership. Leadership is the ability to see all a constellation of new beginning that emerge as things change in our environment. I served 2 terms on the La Quinta City Council in California. I love my community, love my city. It's an amazing place to be. And I wanted to make a contribution. And so I served 2 terms on the city council. And oftentimes I've seen how the difficulty of individuals to cognitively qualify and quantify the changes in the environment. And oftentimes attempting to bring to council their solution that were linear in nature. If you do this, that will happen, A to B. Problem is that you cannot operate like that in complexity. So what is complexity to me is a constellation of new beginnings. Oftentimes there are conditions that merge with each other. And now you have something new and you have to be aware of it. So if we are, my premises was, if it's a constellation of new beginning, and by per se, each beginning is an inception, as you know, based on the dictionary definition of inception, is the start of something, a new function, a new institutions. Inception is the start of something. If we develop an inception mindset, the ability to see a constellation of new beginning coming our way, and we are able to contextualize what those new beginnings mean to us, then we become more effective at not only responding to this constellation of new beginning, but also anticipating those new beginnings and that will come our way. So that is really what I start to think about, is what is really leadership. It's the ability of continuously invest time, invest energy for a leader to see the full constellation of new beginnings, or at least the bigger pictures of what these new beginnings will be, and how these new dots will interact with each other, and what will emerge from it. So that is really the space of where leaders have to not only accept that the world is complex. It has always been complex. We are experiencing, by all means, unprecedented complexity for our time. However, there's always been complexity throughout history. And we have seen in my book, I speak of some of the complexity of the early 90s, as China was becoming the world manufacturer. And so that there was many moving parts, many points of inceptions that needed to be figured out. And it took several iterations before we figured it out. And it worked well until it didn't. And so that is really the space of inception. That's why I define the need for us to develop an inception mindset in order to operate in the context of our new world.
I love that. And it's so true, is that we are constant, like the world, our life is complex. And so it's just by approaching it in this way. And now you mentioned a lot about leaders and leadership. Can you tell us who you wrote this book for? Who is that person that would really benefit from reading your book?
Excellent. So in the past, approximately, since I really completed my PhD, so 8 years ago, I had the opportunity to work with junior managers and junior leaders or emerging leaders, all the way to CEOs. And so, as I've seen the range of individuals that have both the authority and seek to develop the skills in leadership, I thought that this was a range of interest. And in this range of interest, this book will find its way to those who needs it and who are really looking for what's next. What is something that I haven't considered that is coming my way? A matter of fact, that's why in the book I said that I offer all of this for your consideration, because I see this book being useful to someone that is starting out, that perhaps doesn't have the full context yet, but they can start picking up certain aspects of what are the possibility for self-development. I can see this be useful for someone that is already in a leadership position, and they are able to look at further contextualizing and developing within these four horizons, developing cognitive lenses across the environment, for the self, for the organization, and of course, the three combined. And I also see it of being of value for those that are in more senior position, because it also gives them the opportunity to help others in their development, as well as basically polishing and continuing their learning and their development, because development leadership continues until we decide that we are not going to be around anymore. And if we are in the space of leadership, means that we made a choice to be there. And so we are in leadership until we choose no longer to be there.
It's incredible. And I know so many people will benefit from all the wealth of knowledge in there. Now, my favorite part about your books, is those four horizons and how you walk people through. And it's like, I love this because it's not about quick fixes and like, here's how you lead. And it's like one size fits all. It's like you invite the reader into the complexities of getting curious and being creative and looking at it through the lens of this is a journey and it's actually different for everyone. But you really do, through your intellect and just like that cognitive paradigm, for understanding and coping with and thriving with complexity, embracing it, you really take the reader through these amazing horizons that kind of can help them navigate it as a journey. And my other favorite part is that you use empirical research, which I love the science and the evidence behind that. But then you interweave those real world examples and you provide it in a way that's like a guide. Can you talk a little bit about those four horizons?
Yes. So another aspect is, of course, to when you develop concept, and concept often are just that. It's a way to provide a cognitive lens to look at something that perhaps in the moment we don't fully understand. One of the aspects in doing research in order to support those concepts, and also going further. And for example, in Horizon 3, when we talk about the organization, I bring results of a fairly well-rounded study done on the concept I developed in 2015, which is entrusted empowerment. And so not only you get to the point of conceptualizing, then you go out and you ask yourself, is there something really called entrusted empowerment out there? And so we went out and we did a full survey, and we did find that indeed what we expected to find was there. So the opportunity here to walk through a journey and say, okay, what should I consider in developing an Inception mindset? What are the considerations that I have to make? And so we start out with the environment, right? And try to make sense of the environment, try to contextualize complexity. And so first and foremost, have some cognitive lenses, almost a radar, a dashboard to look at what complexity means to me into my organization. Then by being able to move into the second horizon is the self. How do I respond to events? How do I respond to things that change in the environment? There are times that it's just of no consequence to me, and at times I feel deep sense of anxiety. And so being able to understand what does those mitigating factor or those aggravating factors in a sense that may impact us. And then really being able to connect with the organization. So what does it mean? How do I act? How do I develop myself in my leadership brand? And the brand is transcend the package. It's not how we show up at the office, if the jacket and the shirt and the jewelry. That's great. That's all packaging. That's really great for first impression. But developing a leadership brand really counts on us developing the behaviors that are conducive for us to be effective in the environment in which we operate. Then we have to look at the organization. Oftentimes we talk about changing culture in organizations, and we want a culture of innovation or a culture of performance. But we need to seek and fully understand what are those elements that we have to act upon in order for the culture to change. So it goes back to being, I'm from the school that you have to change things in order for the culture to change. And so the framework of entrusted empowerment start really creating the foundation for bringing the all three together. Because irrespective of the changes in the environment itself, we have to keep developing ourselves as leaders and keep helping our organization to grow and develop as well, so that we can bring it all together. And the three horizon combine in the fourth, which is really bringing and cultivating a innovation. And innovation is something I spent many, many years of my life innovating in the consumer product industry, working with some tremendous brand, and being able to really see how can we take those notions of innovation and innovation cycles and bring it into the business world that is applicable not only in the for the consumer product, consumer services, but other aspects in organization, meaning function, programs, methodologies, right? How do you go through a cycle and a methodology that brings the best results into existence? And that is really what we explore in the book.
Oh, so good. And you offer such a fresh perspective on comprehending and approaching complexity, right? And it's so great for the reader to look at this from all perspective. And it's going to help so many people in the industry and at work and like individuals, even like building our own personal brand, right? Not just being our package, but also
Right.
how we show up. And so I'm curious, what do you hope to get out of creating this book and bringing it to the world?
Yeah, so there are a couple of truths. Number one, I love to develop others, and really is why I dedicate my life to conduct workshops, seminars, courses. They are with all the intent of developing leadership in strategic capacity in individuals and organizations. There's also a reality that only 24 hours in a day. Many people don't want to take courses at midnight. They have a tendency to sleep at that time. And so how do you get these concepts out in a manner or in a fashion that it can reach the many? And what is the fastest way is usually is a book. A book is nothing more they can conduit for ideas to be propagated out in the world. In some may agree, some may disagree, which is also important, the voice of disagreement. But at the end of the day, it's like bringing and have the fortitude of bringing this concept forward and allow individuals to make the decision of what is applicable and implementable for them, and really be clearer and build a sense of clarity. All in all, what I want this book to do is to bring a sense of clarity, help individuals, help organizations have better clarity, because we cannot be certain about anything anymore, but we can definitely embrace clarity. As the futurist Bob Johansson said, that the future will reward clarity, but will punish certainty. Punish certainty. And so the more certain we want to be about something, the more likely is that we're going to get the short end of the stick. And so we have to really work in creating clarity in ourselves and in our own organizations and communities, and by all means, society at large.
Yeah. And you know what's so interesting about what I'm hearing? I can picture you going to these workshops and all these organizations, and you're speaking engagements, and you are a wealth of knowledge, and we're just scratching the surface on your genius. And so what's interesting is like what I love about your book is that I can now, because your book is available everywhere where they sell books, I
Yes.
can literally have Robert's brain right beside me, and I can take my time going through this. And it's just exciting for me because a lot of times, some of the things that you say might like slip by my brain, but now I love that it's packaged in this beautiful book that I can delve in at my own pace. And so I imagine also this is a wonderful addition to your speaking engagements as a supplement that people can then delve in deeper to the concepts that you talk about. And now, isn't it true that in order to get clarity, we have to go through the complexities and we got to kind
Absolutely.
of, yes.
We definitely have to embrace it. And so, first and foremost, understanding that complexity is part of human nature, is part of the human experience. And by accepting the fact that at some point, there always been complexity. Emperor Tiberius used to say, I hold the she-wolf by the ears, because he had to deal with very complex issue. You couldn't let it go, and you couldn't hold on it. And so has been part of the human experience, and being able to understand that complexity is afterward a moment in which the dynamics of the environment outstrips our cognitive capacity. Eventually, we're going to figure it out. As in my book, I spoke about the early 90s, the advent of let's make all of it in China. Eventually, we figured it out. It didn't happen overnight, but we figured it out. There were losses. There were losses, there were gains. There were losses of a tremendous amount of jobs in manufacturing. Matter of fact, I talked about the story as even the mold making, which was a coveted functions in the United States. It was really about keeping it here. Eventually did find its way to China, where everything it became from A to Z. Everything was made there. Packaging and even engineering was eventually was developed there. So the idea is to use also this book, of course, in workshop, in seminars that I already have. For example, at Integral Advantage, we offer a course titled Leadership Branding, and it's a 2-day course. And the Horizon 2 speaks to the material and the concept we cover and the methodology we cover in the course. So, of course, there is a dance, right? It's a dance about putting it out there in the world, but also be available if someone wants to go deeper and bringing it to life in their own organizations. I would like to say one thing, that this is the kind of book that I say immediately in the introduction. It is a thinking book. And so when people say, oh, it makes me think, that is exactly the point of the book. I read in my early 20s the first edition of if a very renowned book by Peter Senge, The Fifth Discipline. That book, I don't know how long it took me to go through the first time in my 20s, because I kept making notes. I kept putting it down, think about it, repeating some of the archetypes that Peter Senge was proposing. And I thought I pretty much had it done. I was like, oh, I got this. I'm early 20s. I definitely got this systems thinking down. I'm good. I read the book again probably in around 2009, 2010, after the as the United States in the world was going through what we come to refer to the Great Recession. The book read much different. Yes, it was the second edition, but it made me think even more than the first time. I seen things differently than I seen it the first time, because of course there was also all the experience that I had accumulated to that time. So by all means, I wanted to bring to life a book that provides that opportunity for individuals to think but also then act. Think and act, think and do, and see what you can do to incrementally make a difference in community, organizations, and society at large.
And you have achieved that. In your book, you feel your passion. And it is definitely a thinking book. My example of, okay, I got to read this page and just set it down, or better yet, read this paragraph and then just think about it. It is so well written, and your knowledge and your experience come through. And I have to say that you have such a good sense of humor too, that kind of interwove its way into the book, which is great, because when you're talking, about complexity and such, deep subject matter, I love that you wove in some sense of humor into that too. And it feels so nice on your heart. And so I have to thank you so much for putting so much love and energy and passion into your book. And now we are bringing it to the world, which is so exciting. So what are you up to these days, and how can people get a hold of you? Because I know they're going to want to get a hold of you. Obviously, I'll put the links in all the show notes.
Yes, thank
But
you.
yeah.
So the best way to connect with us is through our website, integraladvantage.com. There are some information and some methodology to get in touch with us. What I do these days is really, I'm fully dedicated in running these courses, this workshop. I do work extensively with government agencies. I work with the private sector. We are now opening up more and more to local agency, in state and local agency. And so the focus, our focus is really the ability to continue this work in opening it up to as many organizations as we can. So that it remains the focus. I have a 4-day course this week. Next week I have a 5-day course. So it is a continuous a space of wonderment for me. And in all the fairness, is like it's impossible not to learn as I do the work I do, and learn from these wonderful people I work with. And oftentimes for them is like a reminder. Sometimes they just forgotten some of the concept, and they come in at the right time. So that's really the focus on how can I really bring a relevant concept, a relevant point of views, a relevant cognitive lenses that are in the here and now, but they allows us to see past the fog of war, past what we usually want to see, and really push us to see what we sometimes try to avoid. And so that is really the focus. We are open to organizations that are really interested in moving the needle. Everything, as I said, is incremental, and every action is important, but it takes a certain level of alignment that oftentimes we have forgotten how to create. So I hope that we can come into that space and help organization finding the sense of alignment.
Oh, and you will. Holy jump. And just, I remember like when we'd spend some time together, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like every time we had a meeting together, it's like I'm learning more and more about you, and just mind-blowing information. So if you would like to purchase, I do encourage you to purchase Inception Mindset, the Contextual Art and Science of Leading in a Permanently Complex World by Robert Radi, PhD. And it's available in hard copy as well as paperback. And the hard copy is like a beautiful textbook, might I add. It's gorgeous and so beautifully formatted in all your amazing graphs. I love that you break it up with your charting our journey, and you bring them through a path. It's so beautiful. And you created all those visuals, which is so powerful. It helps the reader through the complex subject matter of Inception Mindset. So if there is just one last thing that you would like to say to the listener, what would it be?
Well, always be curious. Always choose curiosity above everything else. And once you are curious, you will see things the way you haven't seen it before. And once you see it, you can unsee it. So that's what I really recommend. If anything, nothing else, be curious.
Yay. Thank you so much, Robert, for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Andrea. Really appreciate it.